hoping it hit you in the head.
All right. So we've been talking about it, and it has begun. First day. Welcome, my friend. Welcome to all our viewers out there. This scene of ours is going to be a podcast brought to you by myself and my brother Jeffrey Taveras. Jeff, how are you?
I'm very good.
Are you?
Yeah.
You look good.
Oh, yeah.
You look like you're oozing with machismo.
I feel nice.
All right, good.
I'm ready to go.
You ready to go?
I'm ready to go.
So we were talking earlier. This is big year this year.
Yeah, it is.
Right? So this year, we realized that I celebrate 20 years. This July, I celebrate 20 years in dance, and Jeff celebrates 21.
21 years.
20 years, and it's been a long road.
Not that long, but long.
It feels long, right?
It's been long.
It feels like the beginning was a long, long time ago. And it feels like we've done everything in our dance that you could do at this point.
Yeah.
Except one thing.
What's that?
The podcast.
No, we haven't.
Which we're doing now.
We haven't done a podcast.
We haven't done a podcast yet. So today is day one. This is episode 1, day 1. We want to welcome you guys. Make sure you follow us on social media. Make sure you check out our events, Tri-State Dance Fest, New York Congress 2024. Of course, we're going to talk a little bit about that.
Can we toast first?
We can toast. You want to start opening this up?
Yes.
Let's open that up. Let's get that cracking.
Yeah.
Jeff's going to open up the champagne. Again, this is our inaugural episode. This is the first one. So we're definitely going to celebrate.
We're celebrating
a lot of new things that we're celebrating this year, right?
That's right.
All right. So where do we start? What's the newest thing?
Well, first, I just want to pop this to being able to survive for 20 plus years. 41 years between us.
Amen.
Amen?
Amen. Pop it. Let's do it.
Oh. I was kind of hoping it hit you in the head. I missed.
It did not. It probably would have been good luck if it would have hit me in the head.
That's what I wanted to do.
All right. Ask Hove. Ask Nas. You don't want it with Hove, right? That's what John said when he was walking around with the bottle.
That's right.
So this year, what are we celebrating this year? A lot of new things happened this year.
Well, we're now the owners of the New York International Salsa Congress.
We're now the owners of the New York International Salsa Congress, which we've been going to for quite some time.
That's right.
Rest in peace, David Melendez.
Rest in peace.
John Choco Knight. Yep. And big shout out to Vilma, to Manny, to Lou, the former owners.
The former owners.
Okay, what else? We got a lot of things that happened this year. It was a big year this year.
So first, let's toast to our 40 years in the business.
40 years in the business. 41 years in the business.
Cheers to that.
Salud. Okay. What else we got?
Well, we have officially owned a studio for 12 years.
12 years. Wow, it's been that long?
Studio owners for 12 years.
Nice, bro. 12 years.
So Huracan is 12 years old.
Huracan.
Well, kind of 12 years old.
Nah, bro, it's 12.
Yeah, I guess.
We'll talk about that as we go as well. All right, what else we got?
My son's about to be one.
Hey, he's going to be 1 year old, bro. Jaden is our newest member of our family.
He's
Jaden Gabriel. He's learning how to walk right now and falling
That's
all over
right.
the place. We love it. What else?
We'll have this will be the 4th year where we do the Tri-State Dance Fest.
Nice.
Shout out to Lou Lopez.
Lou Lopez. Shout out to Louis Lopez. Anything else?
I don't know.
I got kicked out of my house.
I don't know if I want to celebrate that.
Oh, okay, my bad. All right.
But
All right. Yo, if you're not going to be like normal and laugh.
nah, I'm laughing. I don't know how funny that is.
All right, it's not funny.
If I get kicked out of my house, I wouldn't be too happy.
Nah, you right.
So, we'll go from there.
All right, yo. So look, 41 years. We've obviously been through it a lot, and it's funny because we were at Summit this year, and somebody kind of brought this up to us about how like people don't really kind of know what the story is or our story.
Yeah.
So why don't we take some opportunity to kind of just tell people how this happened, how this started, and then let's kind of see where we go from there.
All
So,
right.
do you remember the first time you took a salsa class?
Yes, and actually the first time I actually took a salsa class was in 1999.
1999. Okay. Y2K.
Yes, I took a on-one class. My first class ever was an on-one class.
That was on Junction, right?
They opened the salsa studio in Junction, and I showed up, and it was just me and the instructor and his wife, and I took a class, and that was the first time I ever learned 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. I had no idea what was on 1 or on 2.
Okay.
So I took that class, and then from there I went like 2 or 3 times, and I didn't go back.
So you're telling me you could have been the next Johnny Vasquez, is what you're telling me. Paparin.
I don't know if I could have been Paparin. I don't know, but my first class,
we love Johnny Vasquez here, all right? So I want to make sure we're clear on that.
the Prince of Salsa.
The Prince of Salsa, we love that guy.
So I didn't go back. So in 2003, my brother decided to break his leg.
Yo, that sounds like a little bit of
He broke his leg. So you know how like as a kid you're always looking forward to the summer.
Yep.
Pretty much the last day of school, he broke his leg. He shattered it.
Mm-hmm. Completely destroyed.
Abel was actually bedridden for the entire summer, and I had to take care of him.
On drugs, man.
On drugs. He couldn't use the bathroom.
Yep.
I had to help him with that.
Yep.
Not a fine moment in my life.
Yeah, let's just say you worked for me for 90 days, so to speak.
Well, let's say I slaved for you for 90 days because I didn't get paid for it.
Okay.
So, in the middle of this, one day I go to Lost Battalion Hall to play basketball, and I walk out of there.
Just for context, Lost Battalion is on Queens Boulevard. For those that are familiar with Queens, this is by like where the PC Richards is, where Goldfinger used to be, I think. That was the name of the strip club. And by the Burger King, like that area right there.
Right. So, I leave. I'm dribbling a basketball. I see a woman, and she was very attractive. Her name is Tiffany Rivera.
Oh, shout out to the Riveras.
My first salsa crush.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Shout out to Tiffany.
Okay.
So she said, "Hey, how are you?" While I'm walking by, which was weird. I was like, "Okay, hey, how are you?" She's like, "Come over here." And I'm like, "Why is this woman calling me?" It was kind of weird. And I walked up to her, and she gave me a flyer and said, "Come take a salsa class." And I looked at it, and I went home, and I came back to take class. I said, I may meet people. I want to learn, I'll learn a few steps so I can go to the club.
This is summer. This is what, July 2003?
2003.
July 2003. All right, cool.
That's right.
Who was your first instructor? You remember your first class?
Yes. His name is Cisco, and he's back in the scene, and he's
He
dancing
danced with Aurelius.
With Aurelius.
So shout out to Cisco and Aurelius.
Cisco was my first teacher.
Magic feet.
And I took my first class, and I instantly became, how do I put this? My competitiveness took over, and I started to focus on doing well versus meeting people.
Okay.
So I took classes for about a month, and then I had to go back to school. I was at Dominican College. At that time, I was a RA, so I had to go back basically in the beginning of August. And I left, and I forgot about dance. I just went back, I played my baseball season, my junior year of college, and then when I came back in 2004, I go to my brother, "Hey, listen,
you went without me one day."
Yeah, I went. I returned back.
He went back. Yeah.
I went back, and then I came home, and when he broke his leg, we became closer, and that was, I think, your 16th birthday.
No.
You were 15.
I was a freshman in high school. That was I turned 15 that month.
Okay, so I came back, and I was like, "Hey, listen, I kind of want you to come with me to take a class," and he was a hip hop head, and my brother was the type of kid that used to get the nylon boards and break dance in the street, thinking that he was a b-boy and all that. So he was never really interested in salsa.
Yeah.
So
we were hanging out a lot with Edwin too at the time.
Yeah, we were hanging out with Edwin, so we would play like PlayStation and stuff and hang out. And then he came with me to a class, and halfway through the class, he got hooked.
Yeah. It was tough though.
Yeah. Who was your first teacher?
My first instructor was Ralph.
Ralph, that's right.
I don't know what Ralph's last name is, but we see Ralph in all the Salsa City
Yeah.
events now too.
Yeah.
And he always reminds me
Yeah.
that he was my first teacher.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
shout out to
He
Ralph.
fathered you.
Yeah.
So,
It
Ralph.
is what it is. Ralph was
Cisco fathered me, and
Yeah.
Ralph was, your mentor.
But
so.
it's funny because I remember, interestingly enough, I remember you going, "Yo, do you think Edwin would try this?"
And I thought
And we were like, "Nah."
I thought that Abel would have a good chance of wanting to do it. He didn't want to do it. But I didn't think there was any chance of Edwin coming to a
Yeah.
class.
Yeah.
So I said, Edwin, listen.
And you guys got to remember, if you guys think Edwin's quiet now,
Yeah, he was way worse.
he was way worse back then when we were young.
We'll have Edwin on here. But
Edwin's gonna be part of the show soon. Shout out to Tolentino, but it's interesting. Like people are like, "Oh my God, he's so quiet." I'm like, Edwin has never been louder than he's ever been right now. Like, so I remember.
But the interesting thing that it was like, Edwin, listen, I kind of tried something. I want to see if you do it. And he was like, what is it? He was like, what is
context. I will never forget. We were playing PlayStation, and Jeff was like, "Yo, man," and then he said it just like that. "Hey, we want to try. I tried something. We just want to see if you're interested." And he asked, "What is it?" Go ahead.
And
Jeff, I'm
Edwin's
sorry
like,
to
well, what is it? And I'm like, you got to be a little bit open-minded because it's not like what we do. So he goes, what is it? I go, well, we took a salsa class, and we want to see if you want to come. And Edwin went, yeah, I'll try it. It was just like, yeah.
It was the most nonchalant.
It was like, yeah, sure.
And again, right, coming from a guy who's a little bit introverted, didn't really say much. Even with us, we used to hang out with him every day, and his words are extremely minimal. And he was like, "Yeah, I'll go."
Yeah, I'll go.
And we went.
We went, and Edwin was absolutely awful. Listen, I've been doing this for 20 years, and I've had all types of students. And I'm going to tell you right now that Edwin was easily one of the worst beginners in the history of beginners.
All right, wait a minute, but we got to add context because I was a bad beginner too.
No,
I was
no,
good
no.
at wait. No, to be fair, because I was bad at footwork. No, I was good at footwork. I was terrible at partner work. I couldn't get the partner work.
All right. When Edwin started dancing, it felt like Edwin didn't even know how to walk. That's how bad it was. Edwin was one of the worst beginners in the history of beginners. It's true. And then, we started dancing, and, I was
You remember the first night we went to Caché?
The first night?
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, I remember.
Because there were days they were performing. And they invited us. So Caché used to be on 46th Street between Broadway and 8th.
Shout out to Joey Caché.
Shout out to Joey Caché. Yeah, so right across where the New York Congress is right now, where the Marriott out is, right across from Hamilton, which used to be at the time, it was in the Heights. No, not yet. It turned into In the Heights. The Richard Rogers Theater turned into In the Heights. So right across the street from there was a door. It led to a basement, and that's where Club Caché used to be. And that was on Thursday nights. That used to be the place to go and to party in the salsa scene. And that was our first exposure to a salsa social. And I'll never forget when we walked down there, it was like upstairs, there was a bouncer up there. I forget the guy's name. He was a bouncer there for a long time. And we walked down the steps, and it was like an oasis of just humans.
Yeah, well, my experience, what you're talking about, I experienced that at Jimmy's. So the first time I went to Jimmy's, I think we went to Jimmy's before Caché.
Jimmy's Bronx Cafe or Jimmy's Anton?
No, Jimmy Anton's. The first time that we went to Jimmy's, I don't know if you remember this, but I think they were on 26th Street. And
we got in the elevator. That was a different time.
We showed up, and they gave us the address. We showed up, and we see, buildings in the middle of Manhattan. We're like,
what is going on here?
What's going on here? And we're like, is this the right address? And it's like, this is the address.
That was on 19th Street between 5th and 6th.
You're right.
19th Street between 5th and 6th, right by where Burger and Lobster is.
Yeah. So we showed up, and it was like, yo, is this Jimmy's? There's buildings here.
And we just kind of followed the crowd.
And then one person came with shoes. And we were like, are you going to a social? She's like, yeah, Jimmy's is this way. And we got on, we went to the building, we got on the elevator. And
I remember the music.
The music started to kick in.
Get louder and louder.
Louder and louder. And then the doors opened. There was 500 people there. We were like, what kind of cult,
yeah, it was wild.
is this?
It was crazy. Yeah,
it was crazy.
Yeah. I remember that very specifically as well also.
So Caché had that feel. That Along Came Polly, when he showed up to the salsa club feel.
Or more like Blade, when the chick takes him to the vampire party and he's like a back of a kitchen kind of thing. And
Sorry, Abel, I've never seen Blade, so I can't help you there.
With Wesley Snipes?
I've never seen Blade. What do you want me to do?
Bro, you gotta get it together. It's the first Marvel movie. Anyways,
So yeah, so
so that was our first experience, and we took classes that summer, 2004. We basically just took classes.
we
that
took
whole
classes,
summer.
and then here's the kicker. Then I put the
Wait, but look real quick before we talk about that. Al Zagami was our main teacher.
Al Zagami,
Al Zagami, shout out to Al.
former Descarga Latina dancer.
Yep, former Descarga Latina dancer, completely Italian. He was like the coolest guy. Yeah.
You guys know the Michael Jackson? Good guy.
And he was like uber Italian, like
Yeah.
"Yous guys are gonna be real good." Like he'd say
Yeah.
"yous."
Yeah.
Yeah. So shout out to Al
Shout out to Al. Shout out to Jorday.
and Jorday Rivera. Jorday Rivera Dance Studio.
Jorday and Tiffany.
And Tiffany. Yep. They still have a studio. They're still up on Metropolitan Avenue in Queens. They have a really really big kid school.
Yeah.
And they do a lot of great things with the kids now. So they came to Tri-State 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Or last year.
Last year.
They came last year.
2 years.
I think it was 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
They came to Tri-State 2 years ago, and they do like a lot of competition stuff. So shout out to them. They're doing obviously great work, and they've continued to do great work. Obviously, that's where we started.
Yeah.
All
A
the
big
time
thing
ago.
about our beginning stages was, and yo, this will always hold like a special place in my heart.
What?
Going to the Copa and watching the Copa dancers.
Going to all right, we got to talk about that.
Yeah.
Because people don't really know about that.
Yeah.
Okay, number one, first and foremost, let's talk about young Alex Sensation, who was a DJ at the Copa. Let's talk about
Juan Portela was a Copa dancer.
Juan Portela, Sherwin Johnson.
Sherwin was, you took more classes with Sherwin.
Yeah, Gabriel Perez.
Gabe.
I don't know what
Al Zagami.
Al Zagami. I forget Kike's last name.
Kike Heredia, which we became teammates in Santo Rico eventually.
Yeah, Kike. And then there was another guy, no?
It was Kike, Al,
Juan?
Kike, Al, Juan, and Gabe. I mean, those were the guys that we knew.
Yeah.
Melanie
I know
Torres.
Marcus was a Copa dancer too, Marcus Nieves from
Yeah,
Jersey, but that was probably before
Yeah.
we started going. He
Right.
probably had already stopped that.
Right,
But
right.
Melanie was, I don't remember the girls. I remember Melanie. I remember, I think, Lydia or Nydia? No.
Lydia used to dance.
Excuse
there.
us if we're forgetting names.
Yeah,
A long time ago, obviously.
yeah. But at that time, those were our instructors. So, Gabe used to hang out at Jorday's.
Yes.
And
And
Al used to
Gabe-
be like, yo, Gabe's really good. And Gabe used to just come in
He
there.
just sit there with a hoodie
He used to just sit there and just look and
and not say a word.
Not say a word.
Dance. He's just kind of with his hat really
Yeah.
low, and
but
he would just sit
but
there.
one thing that I always remember that was kind of special was I remember one day us telling them like, yo, we're gonna go, and he's a teenager.
I was 16.
So to get into the Copa was 23. I wasn't 23, so I had a fake ID to get in, and I used to I would put a blaze on him, and I'd be like, listen, you need to
Just make power moves.
you gotta make power moves and act like you belong, all right?
And wait, just to backtrack, it's funny. When I met Gabe came they were rehearsing for a gig for something. I don't remember exactly what it was. They were doing something, and the song was Welcome to the Party. It was Gabe, Al, Jorday, and I think it was the Dominican girl. What was her name?
Oh, I know her face, Giselle.
Yeah,
Giselle.
I think Jorday, if you're listening to this, or Gabe, just correct me. But anyway, they had a gig that they were working on, and he came to the studio, and I'll never forget. He said, "Yo, bro, you got to do two things. You got to get a fake ID, and you got to go take classes with Eddie Torres." And I'm
Yeah.
not gonna say what he said after that because it wasn't.
I
in
know what he- I already
2024,
know what you said.
It's a no go. It's a no go.
It's a no-go.
It's a no go now.
But it was
back
20 years ago, and he
20
said
years
it.
ago, it was good to go.
And I
yeah.
remember what he said.
Yeah, so we're gonna leave that out because Gabe's our boy and we love him.
Yeah.
But-
So we show up to the Copa.
Yeah.
And it was it was a weeknight. It wasn't a great night. It wasn't that packed.
Yeah.
And they had one dancer on the stage. And Edwin, Abel, and I walk in.
Yeah.
And they saw us.
And they got so
And they
excited.
were like, yo, they got up, they hugged us. Yo, and they went
To work.
in. Yo, they started dancing and they started throwing down.
It was probably the
And
greatest-
we just watched. We were like, yo, and then Kiki came in and did his footwork and
And it hit
slapped
the
the
floor,
floor.
and the crowd went crazy.
The crowd went crazy, and then all of a sudden a crowd formed around the
Yeah.
dancers. And we felt really special because it was like, yo,
These are the guys.
We're
We're who we're learning from.
we're here. We're learning from them, but they showed out. They were like, oh, they showed up the night. Like we can't take the night off anymore.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like.
Yeah.
So that was a really really cool experience. And
Special acknowledgement that we haven't kind of mentioned. Eric Baez
Eric Baez
from
That's
Florida.
right, from
Shout
Orlando.
out to Eric Baez. Eric taught us a salsa class. It was Saturday afternoon. It was a 1 p.m. class. I'll never forget it. He was wearing some jeans. He had a motorcycle helmet, and he walked in and he taught a dope class.
Yeah, Eric
he
was
taught
a special
really,
time.
really good class. And I remember he disappeared.
Yeah, he disappeared when
We never saw him again. And then we ran into him years later in Orlando. We're like, yo, what happened? You on the run? He was like, nah, bro.
On the run.
He was like, and it's a true story. This was exactly what he said to us. He said, yo, that week I came to Orlando to visit and I never went back. I just didn't go back.
Yeah.
And we were like, it's kind of crazy. So shout
It
out
was
to
good times.
Universal Mambo was the name of his company
That's
in
right.
Orlando.
And
I don't know
Amy
if-
Dominguez danced with
Yep. Amy
with
was
Eric.
just in MDN
In
with
MDN.
us. And
Yeah,
shout out
that's
to
right.
Amy, man, because
That's
Amy's
right.
been doing this a really long time also,
That's
man.
right.
Damn,
it was good
yo.
times in the beginning.
Yeah. Okay. I got another event.
What?
Very, very big event.
I already know where you're going.
What am I talking about? Let's see.
The Dancers Night Out with David Melendez.
Yo.
Yes.
That
was Edwin Rivera used to do that event.
Yo, shout out to Edwin Rivera.
That's right. Shout out to Edwin.
Okay.
He's not happy with me, but it's not,
We're going to talk about why
gonna
he's
talk
not happy
about
with
that.
Jeff. All right.
Maybe we could get
I ain't
Edwin
happy
on
with
here.
him either, Edwin. Nah, but seriously, that was a big night.
Yes.
Because they picked
honoring David Melendez.
Yep.
And that was the first time we saw Caribbean Soul, and that was the first time that we ever saw Santo Rico.
We saw Santo Rico that night. We saw the Heartbreak Boys. They did the Michael Jackson thing where they had the afros. That shit was fly.
And but I'm gonna tell you something that Abel's not gonna admit, but I'm gonna tell you.
Yo,
I'm gonna wait.
Yo.
No. Let me talk.
Okay.
Let me talk. I've been really good.
Okay.
But you gotta let me talk.
Okay, talk.
Abel was dying to be a heartbreak
That's
boy.
not true,
Bro,
bro.
you were dying to be a heartbreak boy. Do not lie about that. Okay? I get
That's a
it.
lie.
I get it. You were dying to be a heartbreak boy.
Jeff, come on, bro.
You were feeling to be a heartbreak boy. You were just like, yo, I don't know, man.
That's not true.
I think I should go and try
Listen,
to be a heartbreak boy.
That's not true.
I wish
You know
Edwin
what
was
we're gonna
here.
do? We're gonna agree to disagree for now, and Edwin's gonna come in and he's gonna agree with Jeff. So it's not gonna
Edwin's
really
gonna
matter.
agree with me because it's true.
'Cause it's nonsense.
You wanted to be a heartbreak boy. We're here, me and Edwin are trying to adult, and you wanted to be a heartbreak boy.
It's poppycock. Anyways, that was a big night. That was a really, really big night because that was the first. Yo, that shit was downtown, right? Like
It was in Soho. It was at Soho Dance Studio.
Okay.
It was by Broadway and Lafayette where G&G's was.
Yes,
That's where it was.
exactly. Okay,
And
why-
you know who we saw that night?
You know why I'm thinking
Wait.
meatpacking? You know why I'm thinking? Because I remember the cobblestone downtown.
Yeah, it's true on the side street where I parked.
Yeah.
But you know who we saw that night? Who we met that night? The night that we went to Soho. I don't know if you remember this because I didn't even notice her. We were walking in the street, and there was a group. There was a woman and two men, and they walked by us. And Edwin goes, "Yo, that's Jean Grey." And we looked, and she turned around and she laughed, and it was Jean Grey from X-Men.
Oh yeah, I don't remember that.
Yes, it was. She was walking in the street, and we were going to Soho's dance studio.
You know why I
It's a
don't
true
remember
story.
that? Because we probably bought like a bottle of Alizé and downed it on the way there. Because that's what we were doing back then. Guys, don't do this. Don't.
Hey, Abel, I'm not really proud of that.
Neither
don't
am
know if
I,
you
but
should
it's
share
what we
that.
were doing. Okay, we used to buy a bottle. It was disgusting. Anyways,
Actually, I think it was a nutcracker from uptown, but whatever, doesn't matter. So
so that was a big night because we
That was
saw
a
we
big
saw a
night.
lot of good shows that night. Caribbean Soul, they did the green number, the green and black number.
yeah. La, 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 la.
Yep.
You remember
And
that?
I remember they did a flip from behind.
Yeah.
Santo Rico de Lucumi.
They did look at me. That's right.
Who else?
We
I
saw
think Pierre
we
Canela
saw
performed
we
that
saw CJ Carlos Jimenez dance,
Yo.
and he did a cha cha, and I fell in love with cha cha that day.
I think he was wearing some Converse.
He was wearing Converse All Stars. And we didn't know his name, so we called him Converse All Star
All-Star.
Guy.
Yes.
CJ, we called CJ
This is
for
what we-
years. For years,
This is-
I called you Converse All Star Guy because I didn't know who you were.
word.
You had a blazer and you had some Converse, and you were actually walking out of the social, and there was I don't remember who the girl was, but she said, "Can you dance with me?" And you were like, "I gotta go," and she goes, "Please," and you came back and you threw down on the cha cha, and we
Yo.
looked at it. I'm gonna be honest with you, I fell in love with cha cha that day, and I've had some success in cha cha, which I'm proud about, but I'm gonna tell you that you
gotta
inspired me that
props
day.
to CJ, yo. CJ,
Yeah.
he's the man, right? Him and shout out to Amaryllis also.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So, could we
So-
move on?
Can we move on? Yeah. Where you want to go?
Well, from there, we went to the Descarga Latina.
Shout out to Nelson Flores. Nelson loves telling this. I think this is Nelson's favorite story of all
Yeah.
time. You know why? I think it's his favorite. Or
Yeah,
it's
he's
transitioned. That it's a different story now.
Yeah,
Because
you're
when-
wrong. That's why.
Well, no. Well, now he's saying
you're
that.
a liar. That's what you. No, you lied. Go ahead, continue.
Okay, so the story. So I'll give you an example. This year I was at Summit, and me and Edwin we went to Summit this year to hang out, and Nelson was like, "Oh, Abel used to dance for me," and now what he's telling people is like, "Coño, I got it wrong. I had Jeff and Edwin, and I stuck with this one. What a mistake." So now he's changing the story a little bit, but we can go from there. So from there we go to
Well, actually, if we're gonna tell the story for real, what happened was, we went to take a class at Santo Rico,
we did a Saturday class.
a Saturday class, and it just happened to be the Saturday of the New York Congress.
Was it?
It was, and we went, and it was kind of empty because it was the New York Congress.
I remember the turn pattern.
So we showed up, and I remember walking in, and I remember Thomas saying, "What level are you guys?" And I remember us going, "Well, we were gonna we take advanced classes at our studio, but
Yeah,
we
but we
were
heard-
advised to
Yeah.
take intermediate here." And he said, "Listen, take the advanced class. We'll see how you do." And we took the advanced class.
And we cut everything down.
Well, I cut everything down, and Edwin cut everything down more. So if it was 3 turns,
Yeah.
you kind of hung in there.
We cut it all down, all three of us, because it was hard.
Yeah.
I remember
So-
it being really, really hard.
So I remember cutting it down, and we went to the New York Congress that night for the first time.
That was the first night?
That was the first time we took class in Santo Rico. Was the day Saturday of the New York Congress.
That was let me get around the Long Islands. That was that night?
That was that night.
No.
We'll tell that in the other one.
Okay, cool.
We'll tell that in the other one. So we went to New York Congress.
Yo.
And Al
Hold up.
called us.
Hold on one second. Yo, do you remember how packed that was, that first
Yeah,
New York Congress
it
that we
was.
went to?
It was packed.
Yo, so just for context, for those of people that have been to BIG, BIG basically, he puts out chairs, and then where they had like,
The vendors, it was open.
well, they didn't really have vendors there last year. They had
No. Where VIG had their vendors.
Yeah, it's
that,
open. It was all
that
open.
wall was open.
completely open, and it was packed with
It was
people.
packed all the way through.
It was packed all the way through.
Yeah.
And I remember watching the shows, all the way
in the
from
back. Yeah,
It
that's
was
right.
wild, bro.
I think
You know what I remember?
I think the Palladium Legends, which was Mike
Mike
Ramos
Ramos
and
and
Freddie Rios.
Freddie Rios,
closed.
yeah.
I think they closed.
Mike Ramos was just at Summit. They just gave him a nice award.
He was at Summit. I saw him at Empire.
But yo, interestingly enough, you know what I remember? I don't know why. I always remember this.
Mm-hmm.
La Tormenta Oriental. You remember her? What was her name?
forgot.
Winsome Lee.
Was that the name of her group?
Winsome Lee. La Tormenta Oriental. I remember her performing. I think she wore a pink costume.
Are you sure? I gotta fact check that.
Yeah, I think. Don't quote me on that, but I do remember. I remember David, her coming on stage, and David saying, "I gave her this name." And she came in,
okay.
and she was dope.
Yeah.
And we were like, "Yo, look, bro, she's
Yeah.
dope, Asian. She's
She was-
killing it."
yeah.
On stage.
Shout out to Henry and Marissa doing the thing in the cameras real quick.
Yeah. Shout out to Henry and Maritz. Yeah, they're laughing.
Are we
back
good
there.
over here so far?
Yeah.
All right, good. Just want to make sure.
Okay. Yeah.
So, yeah. so yeah. So I remember the first New York Congress. It was crazy. And then that night Al called us and said, "Hey,
Yo.
Nelson's looking for guys."
Yep. I remember that.
So he called us while we were at the bar in New York, and he said, "Nelson's looking for guys." And that week,
We went to Allerton Avenue Time to Dance.
Time to Dance in Allerton.
and Allerton under the train in the hood.
So we
In
were
the hood.
we were like so excited to go there. A quick little story. I had ordered. I had heard when we
You
first.
gotta preface it though. It's not. You can't just say.
Yeah,
I
no,
ordered
I'm
it.
gonna.
Yeah,
When
yeah.
we had heard Latin Madness off-Broadway show, Salsa Dancers, we had heard all this great stuff about Latin Madness. So I ordered the DVD. So I ordered it, and I waited a month, 2 months, 3 months. Never got my damn DVD. So fast forward, we go to Nelson's studio for the
Nelson
first
is
time.
the producer of Latin Madness. Just for
Nelson
context.
produced it. So we go, we take class, and he says that we went in there like conceited and cocky.
That's
but
not true.
That's not true. We were just we had heard about him. So he was our teacher's teacher. He was our teacher. So we were so excited to be in the room with him. And I guess he took it as cockiness. That's what he says now. Like, oh, they came in here real, whatever. So at the end of the class, I go, yo, Nelson. I go, yo, thank you. He goes, all right, you guys keep coming, and we'll see.
was good, yeah, like, it was
we'll see
good.
what happens. And I go to him, yo, by the way, I ordered a Latin Madness DVD, and I never got it.
2 months ago.
And he goes, oh, you're Jeff Taveras? Follow me to my house. I'll give it to you. So we follow Nelson in his Pathfinder that he had.
He lived down the block from the studio. So like Time to Dance was on Allerton Avenue. So when you come off the Bronx River Parkway, you make that you go straight, you hit the train, you make a left. It was like 2 blocks down.
Yeah.
I remember it being like next to a bodega or something like that.
Yeah.
And then Nelson lived further up. I forget. Was that off?
I don't know where, but I know that he got us a damn DVD.
Yo, that night.
And we went home and we watched it every day for like the next 4 months.
Yo, word, bro. We were so in.
We were so in, the three of us. Like I worked at the college. I had an apartment. They had dorm rooms. Him and he didn't have I don't even think you were there yet.
No, I was that. Yeah,
you were still in high school.
Yeah.
But Edwin had his own room.
Yeah.
I had an apartment, and we literally just watched Latin Madness.
We studied that shit
every single day.
Yo, we studied that shit.
We studied Latin Madness to the point where the DVD
no
longer works.
And you know what, man? That was like a huge influence.
Yeah, it was.
Because it was the first time we saw. All right, and a caveat, right? Just this is an important note. Our cousin Ambiotti, it's like a little bit of a weirdo. Shout out to Ambiotti, right? He's just kind of like this, and he went. He saw it. He saw it.
He saw it.
And he came back one day. He goes, I just saw this show, man. It was like a live show. It was really good, man. Off Broadway.
I feel like you guys would like that. You guys like to dance.
Yeah, and he literally told us that.
He told us it. And
we had no idea. We brushed him off because he looked crazy. Like, not even because it was like crazy, but it was just like in casual talk. And sure enough, like, here we are a few months later on. And literally, we're with the producer of the event, and he did it with Carlos Mendoza. Yeah, Carlos Mendoza. He was the guy that ran.
It was an all-star cast.
Yeah, I mean, well, in terms of the production, putting it together.
Candy and Our Liquid Silver.
Yo, Candy Man. Yo, we're gonna talk about the crush I had at Candy Man. Yo, oh my God, and I hope it gets back to Orlando so she hears it. But anyways, like everybody who was anybody, Franklin Diaz.
Yeah, Abel was a Franklin Diaz fan back then.
Yeah, I ain't even gonna front, bro. You're gonna see me, you're gonna be like, era fanático, ¿verdad? And I'm gonna be like, yeah, bro, I definitely was.
Franklin Diaz, yeah.
Franklin Diaz, Osmar was in it.
Osmar.
Brenda Bird.
Duplessis,
Monique Walker. I had a crush on her too. Crazy.
Yeah.
Who else?
There's a lot. It was like, Santo Rico. It was Descarga.
Yep. Maribel Maldonado, Tracy Diaz.
Marcus Nieves.
Mario
B.
Mario B.
Yeah, it was a squad.
It was definitely
a squad.
A really, really cool.
They had a squad, and Adi Diaz when they did soneros at the end with everybody. That was super cool.
Yeah.
So anyway, fast forward. Nelson never gave me a shot. Thank you, Nelson.
Okay, so what happened was we go to Nelson. I
loved
Nelson
Abel.
Liked me.
He loved Abel. Me and Edwin pa la basura. I didn't need to perform. I just needed 1 rep, Nelson.
But
if you would have gave me like 3 reps in 3 months, then maybe I would have just stuck it with you. But nothing. So all right, and we're gonna bring you here and we're gonna talk about that. Because I haven't let it go.
So it's interesting because I don't know. He took a liking to me. I don't know why.
Well, you were better than us. No, what happened was that when Edwin and I went back to college, because we would go back to college in August, you stayed doing it. And you were doing it like 4 days a week, 5 days a week. You were in, and then you danced with Tiffany.
Yep. I danced with Tiffany.
So when we came back, we were no longer parallel. Like you were way ahead of us. I was still ahead of Edwin because Edwin still sucked. But you and me, but you had passed me at that time.
And wait a minute, because people are gonna say I don't think we're haters. Yo, Edwin's one of the best dancers in the world. We are very clear on
Edwin's
that.
timing is ridiculous.
Yeah, Edwin is like that's our boy, and we tell him to his face. So I don't want you guys to think that we're talking nonsense about Edwin. He'll be here. I'm sure Jeff's gonna tell him this, and he'll probably confirm it. But so at that time, yeah, I was doing it a lot. I kind of stayed and I was kind of into it, and the rehearsing. It's funny because the rehearsing definitely kind of elevated it. It definitely.
No. I mean, you were. I mean, your musicality and stuff like that has always been.
Yeah, that's one thing I always had was timing. Timing is always.
You've been in and out of this for the last 20 years, and
yeah,
still your ability to interpret music. There's not a lot of people this day that have that, and they don't understand that. But
I know
I've seen you dance with a band and stuff like that, so
I know
it's just different.
I know I'm really exceptional at this.
So we went to Nelson. We stayed with him for a couple months, and after the New York, New Jersey.
Yo, you remember that?
Yeah, that's when I left.
Quick note. So just for context, at that they did a congress. Luis Segarra and Nelson Flores did a congress in Brooklyn.
Yes,
downtown Brooklyn, right?
Yes.
Not too far from where the Barclays is, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
And they did another production. It was called
Peluqueria.
Right? We actually went to this. We actually saw it.
Took our friends.
We took our friends.
Mm-hmm.
Mario B came out running in a thong.
All over the place.
All over the place. Yep.
That was funny.
You know what I remember? The Italian dude. The extra.
Mm-hmm.
That he was in the chair and he was like making the faces and we were like laughing at him.
Mm-hmm. Chachi.
The introduction of Yamule.
That's the first time we saw Yamule.
That's the first time we saw Yamule. Yep. At
Charisma was really big back then.
Yep. And again, we're friends with all these people now, but these are kind of like our introductions.
And what happened was I got upset with with Nelson over something that happened. I was disappointed, and I said I'm not going back to the Scalia. And I saw Thomas that day.
Yeah, that
and
day.
Edwin, and he said,
"Yo, you guys never came back.
You guys never came back." And I said it was too hard, and he goes, "Yeah, but you guys had really good timing. The style's just different. Come back."
Yeah,
and me and Edwin went back the next week.
Yeah.
And then you came with us, and then...
No, I didn't come.
You did. And then one day I missed, and he asked you what you were doing, and you said, "Oh, I'm dancing with Nelson." He invited Edwin, and he invited me to join the team.
Yeah.
And then that's where my journey with Santo Rico began.
And that was kind of the beginning of,
2006.
Thomas.
Shout out to SR. So
yeah, shout out to the company and what it was and who was there and who was actually making everything happen. But Thomas Guerrero. And make sure we put this in a clip for the reels. All right. I don't know what the reels are.
So yeah, can I talk about my time? And I was there for 10 years. Can I talk about it?
I mean, I'm gonna allow it.
All right. So I was there for 10 years. I was there.
I was there too.
I was there for about a year, and then I got put on the pro team.
Okay.
And then afterwards,
who was on that first pro team? It was Edwin. Yo, all right, real quick. We went to see Edwin's debut with the pro team at the Boston Salsa Congress, right?
No, not with the pro team, with Exhibición.
Oh, yes. With Exhibición.
He debuted a month before me.
Yep, and we drove up to Boston. We didn't tell him. You and Kojak. Shout out to Kojak. We got to get Kojak on here because Kojak was a part of all this. He was part of the come up, and he was around through all this.
So we went to see Edwin's debut with Exhibición,
and he was super surprised when we got there.
Yeah,
he was actually really happy to see us.
Yeah, it's a good show.
We drove in the Vigor.
And I remember you going, "Yo, man, I just don't know if he's gonna be able to smile." He did Arrepentida. He was like this, and when he turned, he smiled, and we were like, "Yes, he did it." So yes, that was. I think David Melendez ran that with April.
Maybe. Mm-hmm. But yo, we were so proud that night too.
That event doesn't exist anymore.
You remember how proud we were?
Yeah, we were.
Like it was like we were up there.
Yeah, I debuted in the next month in Philly. Okay. Salsa Dura. We did yo-yo, and we did 6 couples.
Okay.
So
real quick, hold on. Let's talk about the pants.
What about the pants? Oh,
Let's talk about how I'm a fucking hero, and let's talk about the pants.
yeah. So New York Salsa Congress 2006. I lived in Rockland. I left my pants in Rockland, and I showed up to the Congress
In Midtown Manhattan.
Midtown Manhattan. I did, I show up, and I used to like to get dressed a little bit late, and I went to get dressed, and I couldn't find my pants. So I had called Abel. He was in Rockland. We had to borrow a car. It was raining.
Yep.
And he had to speed his ass down to
I
New York
had like
Congress.
40 minutes to get from Rockland County to get to Midtown Manhattan on a Friday.
I was on a Friday, and I remember that Rosie, I was hiding on the second floor
Yeah.
because I didn't want Thomas to see me. And Rosie goes, I'm going to go tell him. That's it.
Yeah.
Because it's getting too close to show. So she went to tell him, and Edwin was like by the stairs, and he sees you walking up the stairs.
Yeah.
And, no, I went to meet you
went
at the
out
car.
To the corner.
I went to
By
meet
the halal guys.
I got the car. I got the pants.
We're talking. There's cell phones at this time for the young folk. There's cell phones, and we have them.
We went, and I went to get the pants, and I walk in, and Edwin sees me from the stairs, and he does a full sprint to Rosie, and Rosie goes, Thomas, and he turns around. What happened? And Edwin grabs her like, they're here, and she goes, never mind.
Yeah.
And I went, I put on the pants.
Yo, that was a wild
And
night.
I went
because
out
I
and did
remember
the
I was at the school, and Jeff was like, "Yo, what are you doing?" I'm like, "Nah, I'm hanging out." He goes, "Yo, can you see if my pants are there?" And sure enough, the pants were there, and I was like, "Fuck, what are we gonna do?" Because I didn't have a car.
Yeah,
And
we had
he
to
goes-
borrow it.
He goes, "Yo, see if somebody will lend you a car. Like, go down to the RA office and see if one of the RAs will lend you the car." And I'll never forget that poor girl. What was her name?
Marilyn.
Yo, Marilyn lends me her car.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, that poor girl. I was doing like 110 on
on
on her. And that
Our little Toyota Corolla.
It was a Corolla, or it was like a Sentra.
Yeah.
It was one of these like cookie car cars, and I was pushing that, like it was like screaming that engine. And I remember getting it to him, and I was like, "Yo, call me after the show."
Yeah.
And you had a good show. And then the next night, I went on Saturday to hang out at the Congress.
Yeah.
And those were different times, man.
Yeah.
Those were the beginning times. And it's funny, man, because it seems like so long ago, but like we remember it like it was yesterday. It's kind of crazy.
And unfortunately, like David, at that Congress, David announced that he sold it to Choco.
Was it that one?
Yeah. And then he passed away in February.
Yo, and just to kind of touch on that, on David Melendez, rest in peace. David Melendez, pioneer in our art. He had a studio for kids and stuff like that, and he did all these events. We actually saw him one night at Westgate Lounge.
I just told Julie that story. Shout
It
out
was
to my
one night,
wife,
me,
Julie.
Jeff and Abel, we went to Westgate Lounge, which is still open, and he was in a corner by himself. You could tell that he was kind of like not in the best space, like health-wise, and he was just hanging out by himself. And I remember we went up to him and
We
said,
went up to him and said hi. We're like,
And
you
we
come
just-
up here? He goes, I like to come up here when I want to disappear from the scene.
Yeah, and it was kind of sad. I remember that night it was sad because it was like he was by himself and
We were like, he didn't look too great.
he didn't look good,
And we didn't know, I didn't really know that much. And then,
Yeah.
he passed. So it was sad.
yeah, and you know what? Like he was like so instrumental to like our scene and what we do. He was a really, really big deal. He did so many events, and like he was like a good dude. Yeah, I know. He was a good dude, and it was just kind of like, I guess it's almost fitting that we're gonna be able to kind of finish this first episode talking about David. Now that we have the Congress, especially, I don't know how it's gonna go.
Me neither. But we're going to try.
But we're gonna try, which is basically mine and Jeff's goals.
Yeah.
Yo, man, good first episode.
Yeah. I mean, we only got halfway, but great.
Bro, you know what though? It just goes to show you how much we actually have to talk about because, bro,
Yeah.
we have so much to actually discuss. I mean, bro, like really
There's a lot
epic.
to talk about.
A lot to talk about. But yo, we're off to a running start, my friend.
Right.
So listen, we want to thank everybody who tuned in, and we hope you had a good time with us. We hope
We have to finish this combo.
We do have to finish this conversation. We're going to be doing this regularly, and we're going to kind of be inviting guests and kind of touching base on how our story and how it went and how it's going, because it is still going. And I think this was a good first start. We've been talking about doing this for a while. And
We were supposed to start this before the pandemic. And then the pandemic, it just felt like there was a million of these, and it was like, now's not the time.
Yeah.
But I think now is the time.
I think now is the time, especially because I think now we got some T on the J. That's police talk for time on the job. And, like at the end of the day, it's definitely interesting. At least it's to us.
Yeah.
We'll see if you guys find it interesting. You let us know.
That's right.
Follow us on social media.
Yes. Always watch your 6.
Always watch your 6. Follow us on social media. Make sure you follow Jeff _Huracan, right?
I think so.
We're going to add it here. Mine is
Huracan,
at
it's
DJ Abel NYC. Make sure you follow our events, Tri-State Dance Fest,
New York Salsa
Congress, Latin Dance Moves in Connecticut. Am I saying that right?
No.
What is it?
Latin Moves.
Latin Moves. Mm-hmm. Okay, we've gone viral on that, Jeff. You seen that?
Yeah. Well, we haven't. Brandon has.
Yo, Brandon is a hot little tamale, okay, in the salsa scene.
We haven't done anything.
Those of you that don't know Brandon Aulette, he's our local Cuban hot sex symbol. He's like a huge star on Instagram. Mm-hmm. All right, shout to Brandon. And then obviously Huracan Dance. Mm-hmm. Make sure you follow us on that. My friend, good first time. This thing of ours, we're off to a good start. And we'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Peace. Kind of hoping it hit you in the head.